AFR On Demand is brought to you by Breck Golf. Try Beaver Creek today, just 20 minutes from downtown Baton Rouge in the Zachary area. They've got a PGA Tour driving range, a short game practice area, 30 to 40-yard practice shots. It's a great place to chip and putt and practice if you don't have time for a full round. Book your tee time today, golf.breck.org, golf.breck.org.
Hour number 2 off and running here after further review. Welcome in. Musso in for Moscona here on this Friday edition of AFR, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar. Luke Foster, Paul O'Neill along for the ride. Fired up to have you along for the ride as well. 1 hour in the books, 2 more here to go, and then it is off into your weekend, a weekend that will include the MLB Draft, which we're going to get to here momentarily. Sam Spiegelman, he'll be with us here in a little less than half an hour or so. Sam had an update from a national perspective on LSU's pursuit of Easton Royal, LSU's pursuit of Jalen Brewster, and still where the commitment stands with LSU 5-star tight end Ahmad Hudson. So definitely want to get Sam on the show, talk about him with all the latest there, as that stuff kind of continues to just develop daily here. Here as we get closer and closer to the start of high school football camps, obviously of LSU, and starting their season camp as well. So get the latest there from Sam. As I said, though, right off the top, the Major League Baseball draft that gets underway on Saturday, noon Central Time, NBC, Peacock, MLB Network. If you want to watch it, rounds 1 through 4 will be on Saturday. Rounds 5 through 20 will be on Sunday, and then that will be the MLB draft in the books. Just a little 2-day event there where, good Lord, you're going to hear a bunch of names called, but we always pay attention to it because it greatly shapes the future of LSU baseball and their roster. And we've done plenty different segments here kind of throughout the week, looking at the signing class, looking at the current players for LSU, although those decisions kind of feel made, and there's not really one you're hanging on there like you have obviously in years past. Not at least Stephen Milam really kind of took all the intrigue out of that with the current roster when he withdrew his name, back in June. So the main focus has really been on the signees. And Kylie McDaniel today over at ESPN.com issued his final mock draft, 75 picks, so a full 2-round mock. There are 3 LSU signees mentioned. Let's start here at pick 38 with Logan Smith. Obviously, Logan Schmidt. We all expect him to sign. He has a very high number. Like, he's looking for first-round money. I don't think he'll get first-round money, but that's a guy who's a left-handed pitcher who throws 97. Those guys just don't show up to campus. They just don't. You're expecting him to sign for what it's worth. The slot value there at pick 38 for him would be $2.63 million. It's probably somewhere. I wouldn't say that's his number probably that he's asking for, because again, he's looking for teens first-round money. There in a sense there, but makes sense. Even if it's not the Rockies, they don't have a very big bonus pool, but I digress. It makes sense for the team that likes him, and again, lefty that throws 97 already in high school, that they can get somewhere close to his number. Probably not reach it, but somewhere close, and you would expect him to sign. The next LSU signee that comes off the board in this draft is Dominic Santorelli, 41st overall to the Chicago White Sox. And man, this is an interesting one, because when we had Joe Doyle here on the show with us Thursday, asked Joe about Santorelli, because for a while it was just widely assumed that Dominic Santorelli would sign. He was not going to make it to campus. He's 6'2", 6'3", 230 pounds already, first baseman. I mean, raw power. Just look at the show he put on at the MLB Combine. We've talked about it all week long. He led the MLB Combine in average exit velo, and you were talking like 110 and above on some of the shots that were coming off of his bat. The raw power is the best in LSU's class. Like, think about Jared Jones and the numbers he put up at the Combine coming out of high school. Well, he made it to LSU. Think about Mason Braun. Mason Braun hit like the 3 furthest home runs at the MLB Combine a year ago, he made it to LSU. You look at Dominic Santorelli, you think, okay, can that guy follow in those footsteps? And we talked to Joe Doyle yesterday, and really kind of everything you've just been seeing around Santorelli's name in the draft is it's a true 50-50 coin flip for him right now, whether he signs professional or ends up at LSU. You know, there's a really good NIL package available for him at LSU. And Joe Doyle, when he was with us yesterday, mentioned Santorelli's number that he wants is $3 to $3.5 million. Well, 41st overall, you look at the slot value for that, and it's a really good number, but it's not $3.5 million. It's 2.4. The question he has to answer is, do I want to turn down, in terms of this mock draft, this is just Kylie McDaniel's opinion, but do I want to turn down like a minimum of $2.4 million that's going to be in my hand? And who knows? You know, again, you go, we'll use the White Sox as an example. You look at the White Sox, because that's who he's mocked to. The White Sox have the third highest bonus pool in the Major League Draft. They could give him more and sign him over slot. So that's just one of those instances where you look at this, it's a left-handed power hitter. Now, the defense needs work at first base, but he could also play corner outfield. He's an insane athlete for his size, the raw power that he possesses, and hitting from the left side, teams could look at that and go, all right, left-handed power bat, a little bit of positional versatility, but we got to, he's not going to be fast-tracked probably. What do you want to pay? I'll say it again, 50-50 coin flip there with Santorelli. But, man, it's going to be a tough decision. Like, that guy, he's really going to have to look at this and go, all right, this is my number, $3.5 million. This is what I want. Maybe that it's not quite this, but do I want to turn down 2.5 to 8 or whatnot and bet on myself? And if he wants to do that, then he'll show up at LSU. If he doesn't, he'll sign professional. And I got to tell you, my opinion is whoever drafts him, they're going to probably make him an offer that's at least close to his number and really make him think about it. And when it comes down to it, I think that he will most likely sign professional. Like that's my guess for Santorelli. The third LSU prospect that is mentioned is Jensen Hirschkorn. And Jensen Hirschkorn is mentioned not in the 75 picks. Jensen Hirschkorn is mentioned as a real threat to end up in college, which would just be massive for LSU. I'll reference our conversation again a day ago with Joe Doyle. Right-handed high school pitchers are not something that MLB scouting departments just fall in love with and are like, man, we got to have this guy, at least not super early in the draft. Hirschkorn wasn't the only player mentioned in that section of top-ranked players who are real threats to make it to campus. One that was mentioned was shortstop Noah Danza, who's committed to Mississippi State. And I bring that up because within the last hour, Noah Danza pulled his name out of the MLB draft and will be heading to Mississippi State. So that's already one in this list here that Kylie McDaniel had, who's already made the decision to forego the draft. Jensen Hirschkorn is in there. And if LSU gets Jensen Hirschkorn to campus, y'all, that's a massive get. MLB Pipeline ranks him the 56th best player in this draft. You are talking a top 60 draft prospect, at least by one publication. It is a 6'7" right-handed arm who's still got room to put weight on. Okay, Jensen Hirschkorn, while he's 6'7", he's only listed at 205. There is a lot of weight that could go on to his frame. He's already up to 97 miles per hour. You add more weight, you could look at that and think, yeah, that guy could reach triple digits one day. He has a real chance to have a legit 3-pitch mix. It is easy, no wasted motion in the delivery, easy velocity from Hirschkorn. That's a guy who could profile as a starting pitcher at some point in his time if he makes it to campus. That is the best news out of this mock draft, is that Jensen Hirschkorn is listed as a top prospect that is a, quote, real threat to make it to campus. And another one of those guys who we mentioned, Noah Danza, already has, and he's going to Mississippi State. That was within the last hour. You never say never, right? You never count your chickens before they hatch when it comes to the MLB draft. But that's a great development right there for LSU. Because, again, when Kylie McDaniel was here with us back in June, he talked about Hirschhorn and said there was no chance. Like, that guy's going to get 1.5 or higher and sign out of high school. And maybe that still happens. But given that he's a right-handed pitcher, there's some projection left in there. Yeah, like that could draw their ire. But right-handed pitchers, man, out of high school, it's just they're a dime a dozen. So I mean, it's not always guaranteed, but that's an interesting draft development here, one day out, where Hirschhorn's a legit threat to make it to campus. So file that away. That's one we are definitely going to be keeping a close eye on here all throughout the 20 rounds of the draft, but specifically the top 10 rounds of the Major League Baseball draft. The LSU prospects in the draft, you can guess them. Derek Couriel was mocked 11th to the Washington Nationals. His window really starts at 10 with the Colorado Rockies. It just depends on how the draft falls, but he has been the rumored pick for the Colorado Rockies at 10, but say someone they covet is still there. He could slip maybe a little bit more. Either way, that's slot value of anywhere from $6.1 to $6.3 million. I do think Couriel will get a little under slot, though. Probably won't sign for full slot. And then Jake Brown, obviously. Jake Brown was the other one, 65th overall to the Mariners. Slot value there, $1.382 million. So kind of you're really looking at 1.4, but the Mariners don't have a huge bonus pool, so they might be looking to sign their guys under slot. We'll see, but I would imagine Jake Brown still gets somewhere close to $1 million, if not a little over that. And congratulations to those two guys, and obviously what LSU's done in the portal. Not that there was really any question that Couriel and Brown were going to sign, but with what LSU's done in the portal, they've replaced them already, so it'll be a happy celebration day. Obviously, tomorrow for both the families of Jake Brown and Derek Couriel as they look to start their future in professional baseball. Hopefully, two long, extensive futures that include multiple Major League All-Star games and World Series. I mean, that's obviously what you hope for those guys. They were huge, huge players for LSU and a part of a lot of winning. If you can't get enough MLB draft content, well, I might have just the thing for you. I'm going to go home tonight. I'm going to eat dinner. And then I'm going to fire up a live stream, Musso at the Box, and we'll talk draft for however long y'all want to talk draft. Go through all the prospects, the signees, the current players, all of that. So be on the lookout for that. Do tune in. Otherwise, I'm just going to be sitting there talking to myself. But we'll do it one way or the other. But just heads up there. I'll go home, eat dinner, and then fire that up. It's going to be a fun couple of days, Saturday and Sunday for the Major League Baseball draft. And there'll be plenty of LSU flavor, plenty of white knuckling, and some pretty good celebrations, too. They got a deep class, man, especially on the mound. I'm really excited about the potential for LSU on the mound out of this signing class. All right, we'll grab a break. We'll come back on the other side and switch over to the New Orleans Saints. Pro Football Focus, they ranked all 32 starting running backs. Where's Travis Etienne fall in? We'll tell you next here on AFR.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by the Watermark Hotel and the Renaissance Hotel, two beautiful hotel properties in Baton Rouge, the Watermark downtown, the Renaissance Southtown right there on Bluebonnet. And when it comes to hosting your event, both the Watermark and the Renaissance are perfect. The Watermark is a gorgeous, elegant spot in downtown Baton Rouge. That wedding reception, that smaller gathering, that meeting space, they can do it. They've kept so much of the history and tradition of that iconic building while modernizing it. The Gregory is a great restaurant inside of the Watermark as well. And then, of course, the Renaissance Hotel. Southtown, right there on Bluebonnet in Baton Rouge. It's more modern. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous hotel property at the Renaissance Hotel where they have meeting space that can accommodate up to 500 people, 7,000 square foot of meeting space, perfectly located right off of Bluebonnet and I-10. It's the Watermark and the Renaissance Hotels in Baton Rouge. We're brought to you by Supper Club. You can book your reservation, supperclubbtr.com, supperclubbtr.com. One of the things about Supper Club that I love is if you want to go to Supper Club and be a baller, you can do it. You want to go to Supper Club and order a $5,000 bottle of Chateau Lafite Rothschild, you can do it. You want to go have $400 shots of cognac, you can do it. You can have experiences at Supper Club that usually are reserved for Las Vegas and New York and Paris and Abu Dhabi. Like, that's here in Baton Rouge. But the thing you got to remember as well, if you want to go to Supper Club and have the best steak of your life and have a few appetizers, a dessert, bottle of wine, you can do it as affordably as any other restaurant in town. But the experience at Supper Club is unmatched. Introduced open seating at the bar, first come, first serve. So if you knock off of work, you want to head by Supper Club, you can walk in without a reservation, see if you can grab a bar stool or a table by the bar as well. Have a great dinner, maybe cocktail, close some business. Book your reservation, supperclubbtr.com, supperclubbtr.com.
After Further Review with Matt Moscona, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar.
Rolling along here after Further Review on a Friday, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar. Musso in for Moscona. Sam Spiegelman, he'll be with us here in about 10 minutes or so. Talk some LSU recruiting. There's been a couple developments involving Easton Royal and Jalen Brewster. We'll get the national perspective of that from Sam Spiegelman. Pro Football Focus, they're going through their little trend here throughout the offseason now where they rank the 32 starters at each position in the NFL. Today was running back. So where did Travis Etienne pop in for the New Orleans Saints? That answer is 15th. He was number 15 in their rankings. They note third 1,000-yard rushing season in his 4-year career. 4-year deal, $48 million. His 791 yards after contact culminated for 10th in the NFL. Should form one of the NFL's most dynamic duos with Alvin Kamara. Top half of the league there for Travis Etienne. If you're curious, number one on the list was obviously Bijan Robinson for the Atlanta Falcons. He's been great, followed by Jahmyr Gibbs, Derrick Henry, Christian McCaffrey, Devon Achane, James Cook, Jonathan Taylor, Saquon Barkley, Kenneth Walker, and Kyron Williams from the Rams. That was your top 10. Back to Travis Etienne, though. It's just interesting to me because, I mean, look, I'm not telling you that he should have been higher on this list. That's not what I'm saying. I mean, you've got we just ran through some really, really good running backs in the NFL there for the top 10. I can't help but look at Travis Etienne and wonder if he is one of the more undervalued running backs in the NFL. Just given his ability both in the running game, but also out of the backfield receiving, which is it's a prerequisite in the NFL now if you're going to play that position. And you look at not just 3 1,000-yard seasons out of his 4, but also really insane durability at one of the more physical positions. We talk about the shelf life of a running back all the time in the NFL now. In 3 of his 4 seasons, he's played all 17 games. And in the 1 year he didn't, he played 15 games. And again, it's not just the 3 1,000-yard seasons. 2 of those were 1,100-yard seasons. It's a guy who a year ago scored 13 touchdowns between rushing and receiving. 7 on the ground, 6 through the air. That is his career high total for touchdowns in a season. Like, he is coming off of pretty close to a career year. And I just think when you look at it, Doesn't it feel like when you put it that way, doesn't it feel like he's a bit undervalued? So, man, I couldn't be more fired up for Travis Etienne here this season for the New Orleans Saints. And especially it looks like they really shored up their offensive line. We'll see what happens at right guard with Cesar Ruiz. But where I'm really hopeful that he can help is in the red zone. Because the New Orleans Saints were dead last in red zone offense a year ago. Dead last. 32 out of 32. 44.4% of the time, they converted red zone opportunities into touchdowns. Dead last. You know what really helps being able to score in the run zone? Running the red zone, running the football. You have great receiving targets, I understand. Juwan Johnson at tight end's a big target. Devon Vele, big target for you down in the red zone. Jordan Tyson, 6'2". Chris Olave, yes, that's great. But, man, at some point, you got to be at the 5-yard line and just be able to freaking strap up and shove your opponent backwards or break a tackle and get into the end zone. Will your way into the end zone on the ground. And that's, again, where Etienne's yards after contact comes in. That Pro Football Focus noted. 791 yards after contact a year ago, 10th in the NFL. How big of a difference can he make in the red area for the New Orleans Saints? Because they view him 3 down back. Kellen Moore has talked about that. So for all the talk you want to look at with the Saints running back rotation and the dynamic duo of him forming with Alvin Kamara, and maybe can you get more out of Devin Neal, and what's the future for Kendre Miller and whatnot, Travis Etienne, as long as he's healthy, and he's been healthy in his career, we just went through it, he's going to get the lion's share of the reps. In all 3 of his 1,000-yard seasons, he has gone over 220 carries. That doesn't count the receptions that he had to go along with that. You add those in, you're looking at right below or north of 300 touches in his seasons. So the durability is going to be huge, but man, really, how can he help you in the red zone? That is something that I'm very intrigued with, because I think he'll be fine inside, in between the 20s. I think he'll really add a dimension to the Saints running game that hopefully takes it out of the cellar where it's been for the last few years, and we all know what that can open up for your offense. But Travis Etienne, 15 on Pro Football Focus's list of the top 32 running backs in the NFL, basically a ranking of your starter. His success is going to be a big part of the Saints offense's success, because it will open things up for Tyler Shuck and the receivers. I mean, it is just the Saints being better in the running game is as big of an emphasis for me as Tyler Shuck making the year 2 jump. It's huge. Travis Etienne, number 15 on Pro Football Focus's list of starting running backs in the NFL. All right. Sam Spiegelman, we'll get to him here momentarily, but first, AFR is brought to you by Our Lady of the Lake.
Our Lady of the Lake, championship health partner of LSU Athletics. Our Lady of the Lake and LSU, as we say, together we roar. Part of the Franciscan Missionaries of Our Lady Health System. And, I love telling you about Our Lady of the Lake, because whenever we talk about healthcare, Our Lady of the Lake understands the 2 things primarily that people want are access and convenience. And they knock that out of the park. Whether it be at the Regional Medical Center, if it's the Lake After Hours, if it's any of the specialty services that you may need, heart, stroke, cancer, pediatrics, you want the best. You want Our Lady of the Lake. You can learn more about the Championship Health Partnership, OLOLRMC.com/LSU, OLOLRMC.com/LSU. Our Lady of the Lake and LSU, together we roar.
All right, over the last couple of weeks, it seems like the situations for LSU in their pursuit of flipping 5-star wide receiver Easton Royal and number 1 player 5-star defensive lineman Jalen Brewster. Seems like over the last couple of weeks, those have been kind of just evolving daily. Sam Spiegelman had a few updates over at Rivals from a national perspective. He's going to join us here next on AFR.
AFR.
We're brought to you by Clegg's Nursery with 4 locations in the greater Baton Rouge area. Siegen near Airline, LA 16 in Denham. Mid-City on Don Moore, Garden Center on Greenwell Springs. You know those 4 locations, and what an awesome time to get by Clegg's Nursery because they still have every single day shipments of flowers coming in, plants, trees, shrubs. You want to beautify the exterior of your home. You want to add that pop of color to your flower bed, to your patio pots. Maybe you got unwanted pests like ants or snakes or mosquitoes, wasps. They can help you take care of all of them. Maybe you got weeds coming up in your lawn. You want to get rid of that. Maybe you got dead spots in your lawn. The horticulturists, the professionals at Clegg's Nursery have the knowledge, the know-how, the expertise, and all the products you need to win Yard of the Month every month for your whole life. Guaranteed. Actually, I can't back that up. You have to do some of the work, too. It's Clegg's Nursery.
All right, well, we're on 5-star watch for LSU football. We're also on 5-star flip watch for LSU football. Of course, talking Easton Royal and Jalen Brewster. It seems like, man, for the last couple of weeks, there's almost been some type of development or update on those guys daily and the pursuit. Sam Spiegelman from Rivals on Twitter X at Sam Spiegs. He joins us now to talk about all of it. Sam, we appreciate it, man. How are you?
I can't complain, Matt. How you been?
I've been good, man. I've been good. It's been a good summer so far, and obviously the recruiting trail is keeping us plenty busy over here as we wait for the actual games to start again. Sam, let's start with the local prospect in Easton Royal. This one just, man, it feels like it's being played pretty close to the vest by Royals camp, Texas, LSU, and Florida. Of course, he's committed to Texas. What's kind of the latest you could tell us there with Easton Royal and where LSU stands in that commitment, in that recruitment, excuse me?
Yeah, you're not kidding. Talk about playing things close to the vest. This is a very small circle that Easton Royal has kept, and I don't think his mom or he fully knows where he is going to go at this point. I do expect Easton to have a decision in place as early as potentially this upcoming week. Obviously, it's Friday, so after the weekend, we are all on full Easton Royal watch, and I would be absolutely surprised if July came and went and Easton Royal didn't either shut down his recruitment with the Texas Longhorns or potentially flip to LSU. I do feel pretty confident based on the conversations I've had over the past week or two, saying that Florida is a distant third in this race, and this is largely a coin flip between the Longhorns and the Tigers. You're nitpicking if you're Easton Royal, the number 1 wide receiver in the country. You're looking at things like offensive fit, which both Lane Kiffin and Steve Sarkisian have plenty of offensive backgrounds at their disposal. You're talking about NIL packages that are going to push for some of the highest numbers at the position for any wide receiver prospect in the 2027 class. That's about equal. Then it's about the opportunities that are available in Baton Rouge and in Austin. And, in Austin, you have a chance to potentially join a team that is on the door of knocking through and winning a national championship, or at LSU with Lane Kiffin coming in, join a roster where you would immediately have a chance to compete for playing time with the Tigers and potentially be a part of one of their national championship rosters, which for someone from New Orleans who grew up in Slidell, that's a big deal. And that's something that is weighing on Easton Royal at this point. I can say that as this winds down, there is some belief that Easton Royal might have one school in mind. There are some that maybe other people in his circle have another school in mind. I do expect them to come to some sort of agreement here pretty shortly. And from an NIL front and from a coaching recruiting standpoint, I could tell you, even if Easton Royal shuts his recruitment down, this is someone that Lane Kiffin, that General Manager Billy Glasscock, that a lot of people in that building want to see in the purple and gold. This is an offensive-minded coach bringing in one of the most high-octane offenses in the country. The number 1 player in the state is also a wide receiver and could be the face of that movement. LSU is not going to be shy with the resources they have to do everything they can to keep Eastern Royal inside Louisiana.
Sam, you might have just answered it, but I'm going to ask you anyway. Does LSU's pursuit, however real or not it may be, of Monsoon Sales, hopefully I pronounced that correctly, have any impact on Eastern Royal's decision?
Absolutely, and the same goes for Texas. Texas is probably higher on Moonshine Sales' leaderboard right now than LSU is. In fact, I would probably say Indiana and Texas are both ahead of LSU for Moonshine Sales. Now, there's a recruiting aspect. There's only a few uncommitted players left in the country, and there's only a few like Eastern Royal, and I know a few more that we'll talk about soon, Matt, that are still potentially on flip watch, because once these NIL contracts are solidified, the chances of a flip go from very, very low to even lesser. I would say, LSU has had some really great talks with Moonshine Sales' representation in the last week for sure. And if LSU feels that they are losing ground to Texas in their pursuit of flipping him, they are going to pony up and try to pay more and make a more aggressive push for Moonshine Sales. Right now, their preference is, of course, to keep Eastern Royal inside the state, even though it's LSU and they're a national brand. Matt, you know that they love to keep their homegrown players in state, and they have obviously been working hard as anyone for Eastern Royal since Lane Kiffin and Billy Glasscock arrived in Baton Rouge. But if they start to slip ground, I would not be surprised if LSU suddenly leapfrog Texas to give Indiana a run for Sales, who should have a decision also within the next 8, 10, 12 days.
Sam Spiegelman is our guest, Rivals national recruiting analyst. You can get him on Twitter X at Sam Spiegs. Sam, let's now talk Jalen Brewster because, look, you're closer to this than us, but kind of reading the tea leaves, it feels like LSU has really, really picked up steam here with Jalen Brewster ever since his official visit to Baton Rouge. And, you tell me, but it kind of feels like you're hearing more about LSU than you are him flipping to LSU than you are him staying committed to Texas Tech.
You know what? It's much like Eastern Royal. It depends on who you speak to and at what point in the day, Matt. This is a very fluid recruitment, but I do agree with you. Last week at this time, I would have told you that I would have put maybe 60 to 65% chance that he would end up just sticking with Texas Tech. And there was also speculation that, it's almost Friday at happy hour time, Matt, that by this time this week, he was expected to potentially shut down his recruitment, and that did not come to fruition. From the conversations that I've had with people in Lubbock and also in Baton Rouge, with Jalen's representation and people inside his circle, the only team left standing in this race to flip him away from the Red Raiders are the LSU Tigers. You are spot on. Since that official visit, LSU has continued to surge with the number one player in the country. Ed Orgeron, unsurprisingly, is a huge reason why. And also, the other thing I've heard is, and not to take anything away from Texas Tech, which are probably going to repeat as Big 12 champs and have a spot in the college football playoff, but LSU, with its history of branding and helping personalities prosper in this NIL world with the opportunities outside of football. You can list the number of athletes that have seen their brand grow exponentially while at LSU, and Jalen Brewster and his circle are very cognizant of that element as the number one player in the country, the number one defensive lineman in the country, and a chance to play for probably one of the most respected defensive coordinators in the country, and Blake Baker, one of the most prominent defensive line coaches in the country, and Sterling Lucas, and of course, Ed O, who delivered LSU that national championship not too long ago. I have also heard, much like Easton, that there is some discrepancy within the Brewster's camp, that some people are a little bit more fond of the Tigers. Some are still leaning toward Texas Tech, but I can say this with some certainty. The longer this recruitment lingers and Jalen does not put a cap on his recruitment, the better I think it serves LSU in their attempt to flip him. And I'm not shy saying that this has gotten way tighter over the last few days.
So with Eastern Royal, we mentioned potentially having a decision in the next few weeks. Could the same be said for Jalen Brewster? Because he was already supposed to shut it down once and hasn't. Is he close to maybe making a choice here?
Oh yeah, just as close as Easton, if not closer. We are on Jalen Brewster watch 24/7 at this point. A decision has been expected. I know that I don't think that they have come to a consensus just yet, but when they make that decision, it's going to be well known. And I expect that, again, this is going to be in the next few days, at a week. And the longer this goes, the better I believe it favors LSU.
Sam, let's talk about, I guess, a flip candidate, but flipping away from LSU in a sense. 5-star tight end commit Ahmad Hudson. You spoke with him earlier this week, and he reaffirmed his commitment to LSU, but stopped short of shutting down his recruitment. What sense did you get of how strong his commitment currently is to LSU?
Yeah, listen, Ahmad Hudson is very careful with his wording on this, and he did not want to stick a pin in his recruitment and say things are completely done. But from the outside looking in, I can all but assure you that Ahmad Hudson is going to be an LSU Tiger when he's ready to sign on the dotted line in December. He didn't accidentally commit to the Tigers in May, about 2 months earlier than he originally wanted to. Once Lane Kiffin, Charlie Weiss Jr., and Joe Cox arrived in Baton Rouge in December, they started to get going on this 2027 class, and Ahmad Hudson was one of the players that they zeroed in on. They actually had him in Oxford in November, right before they took the job at LSU, and it really started around then as they were considering moving to Baton Rouge. Getting the commitment in May, of course, felt like, okay, this recruitment is done for LSU. They can keep the number one tight end in the country in state. Don't worry about the Nebraskas and A&Ms of the world. But I know of course, everyone knows he went to Nebraska last month, and Ahmad loves his relationships with some of those coaches. Matt Rule, as a head coach, has been extremely involved in recruiting this tight end from Ruston, Louisiana. And their director of recruiting, Keith Williams, who does a fantastic job over there, has really just stayed on Ahmad, talking about, new positions in their offense and, of course, the multi-sport element. But I can assure you, from speaking to people in Hudson's camp, from speaking to sources who I trust very much in LSU's building, this is about as done of a recruitment as it gets. He made that visit out of respect to Nebraska. He, of course, returned to LSU. He has left the door open to make another visit to Nebraska. But, Matt, I don't expect that to ever take place, barring some sort of astronomical shakeup in Baton Rouge in the next couple of months. I don't see him flipping. I don't see him really returning to Nebraska. Obviously, nothing is guaranteed in recruiting, but like I said, he didn't accidentally commit to LSU in May. They focused all of their efforts from Lane Kiffin to Will Wade to the basketball side to the family element of having a younger brother in the 2030 class who's going to be a stud when his time rolls around. Ahmad Hudson and his family feel great about the 5-star tight end continuing that family legacy in Baton Rouge.
Last one for you, Sam. Your time very much appreciated. All right, well, you kind of just answered a third of the next question. Ahmad Hudson's in. That's great. I won't hold you to this, but I am just curious. LSU got a real shot to get all three of them? Brewster, Royal, and, Hudson, obviously?
Absolutely. And I think at this point, I think it's the percentages are as high as they can be. I mean, LSU with an in-state prospect like Easton Royal, if LSU is having an exciting season and he gets invited to a game in October in Tiger Stadium at night, Easton Royal is going to have a real hard decision to make if he is still committed to the Longhorns and LSU wants him on campus. This staff has worked him so hard as an in-state kid, or appealing to him, to his family. Of course, the ability to be by his school so much this spring and get him on campus, I believe 5 or 6 times in the spring, and then for his official visit. I think LSU is the favorite to flip Easton Royal. As I mentioned earlier, they're the only team giving Texas Tech any run for Jalen Brewster. I mean, there was a time where Florida was a real team involved, where Indiana, where Texas A&M and Ohio State were swinging away at Jalen Brewster. But at this point, the only other person at the table are the LSU Tigers. And by the way, Ed Orgeron is on that ship. So anytime Ed Orgeron is recruiting, you know that the Tigers have a shot. Yeah. And then with Ahmad Hudson, not to be redundant, but I consider this recruitment to be all but finished. Even though he won't publicly shut things down, there's a lot of kids around the country, kids that are committed to LSU or Texas Tech or, you name it, that say that their recruitment is not shut down. But so long that he doesn't make any more visits outside of Baton Rouge, there's no reason to worry about Ahmad Hudson and his position with the Tigers.
He's Sam Spiegelman, national recruiting analyst over at Rivals. Get him on Twitter X at Sam Spiegs. Always generous with his time. Sam, we appreciate it, man, and we'll talk down the road.
Yep. Have a good weekend, Matt.
You do the very same. Sam Spiegelman again from Rivals. How about that, man? If that gets you fired up for what could be coming down the pike here in a couple weeks for LSU football recruiting, I mean, I don't know what does. Now, again, Sam said it changes by the day. Depending on with Brewster and Royal, and depending on who you talk to, and even at what time of the day. But yeah, that's why we had Shea on Tuesday, but you heard Sam there with Jalen Brewster just in the last couple of days. Even LSU seems to have picked up a little bit more steam as has that recruitment. So it's ever changing, man. And who knows? Maybe we get some news next week there. But very much appreciate Sam for hopping on. AFR. We are brought to you by Evermore.
Brought to you by Evermore. Drink Evermore, EVAMOR, Evermore.com, Evermore.com. For elite athletes, for someone who just wants a healthier lifestyle. Maybe you're a parent, you want a healthier option for your children. Evermore is a great option. I would highly encourage you, bottom line, if you're drinking tap water, don't. Bare minimum, filter your tap water. But the best option is Evermore. This is natural artesian water. It's underground aquifers on the north shore of Lake Pontchartrain, right there in Covington. They dug a well into that aquifer, and I mean, it's literally thousands of years in the making. That's why they call it Mother Nature's masterpiece. That's what they're pulling out of the ground. The only filtration is take like the sediment from the ground out of the water, and it goes right into the bottle. So it never touches air until you uncap it, take that first delicious sip. Learn more where you can buy it, great retailers or online, EVAMOR, Evermore.com.
All right, we will grab a break, come back on the other side. We'll close out hour number 2 with Tigers in the Pros. Still got a whole full hour of the show left. Chris Marler still going to jump aboard with us as well. Kick around a few college football topics there with Marler. But Tigers in the Pros closes out hour number 2 next here on AFR.
AFR.
Get Gordon and get it done. Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. If you've been injured and it's not your fault, do what injured people in Louisiana have done for more than 30 years. Call Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. 888-8888. It's all 8s. 888-8888. I don't even need to give you the area code because no matter where you are in the state, it doesn't matter. Just dial 888-8888 for Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. Gordon does an awesome job, man. He's a great person. They've been so invested in our communities with all the charitable and service work that they do. They give back into the communities that they represent, no matter what time of year. If it's the bike giveaway for kids around Christmas time, if it's the laptop giveaway around back to school time, if it's the charitable work they do during October for Breast Cancer Awareness Month, they're always involved in the community. We tell you all the time, of course, about the G team and what Gordon's done with NIL and the opportunities that he's afforded student athletes. Just a great, great community partner. If you've been injured, you need representation, go to getgordon.com. That's getgordon.com. Get Gordon and get it done. Love telling you about River Parish Contractors. rpcontractors.com is the website if you're looking for work, or you may not even know you're looking for work. River Parish Contractors, you need to make this call. Call Big Jake over at River Parish Contractors because they got tons of work lined up. So you want overtime? They got as much overtime as you want. So you never have to. A lot of places want to hire, give you a good rate, but they don't want you to work overtime. Not at River Parish Contractors. They got as much overtime as you want to work. You want to work night shifts when it's cooler? You could do that. You want to work day shifts? Got it. Look, there's no rainouts. They have amazing benefits. They've got PTO. If you're a welder, pipe fitter, pipe cutter, you got to get in touch with my friends over at River Parish Contractors. Call Big Jake or go to rpcontractors.com, rpcontractors.com. Right there in reserve, River Parish Contractors, rpcontractors.com.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar.
Moving right along here, AFR on a Friday, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar. Closing out hour number 2 of the show. We do so with Tigers in the Pros.
Tigers in the Pros. They still bleed purple and gold. They're just really rich now.
right, Tigers in the pros. Alex Bregman battled through a tough night at the plate against the Cubs, lost to the Orioles last night, finishing 0 for 3 at the plate, 1 walk, and Bregman reached base just once. The Cubs do face off against the Reds tonight in Cincinnati at 6:10 p.m. Dylan Cruz and the Nationals wrapped up their 3-game series earlier this week in Houston. They won that series 2-1. Dylan Cruz went 1 for 9 at the plate. 1 hit, but only 2 strikeouts.
Hey, all right. Putting the ball in play.
Ball in play.
Love that.
Yep, Cruz will get the start again tonight against the Yankees. First pitch is at 6:45 p.m.
Big series coming up for Cruz. The Yankees stink.
Yeah. Flauget and Angel faced off for the second time in their WNBA careers last night. The Atlanta Dream got their get back on the Seattle Storm. Angel Reese put up 18 points, 11 rebounds, 2 assists, making that her 64th double-double in her WNBA career.
Man. Stud.
Yeah. And Flauget put up 14 points, 2 rebounds, and 5 assists.
Both of them, man. Dominant. Did we have any more drama in the handshake line last night? Do we know? I didn't see anything.
I don't believe so.
Oh, man.
I think it was firm handshake.
That and probably just keep the distance type thing there.
Yeah.
That's tough. Yeah. That's tough.
Well, that's all I got for you for Tigers in the pros.
Thank you, Luke. Appreciate that. 2 hours in the books here, just about on AFR. Don Juan Cigar Bar brings you the Friday shows, as we mentioned often. Musso here in for Moscona. 1 more hour to go here in the week. It's been a pretty good week, actually, here on AFR. So we'll grab a break. SportsCenter will get you caught up on your national headlines. We'll come back on the other side. Kick off hour number 3. Derek Carr. Yes, that Derek Carr. He's at a microphone again talking about a potential NFL return, and he did have some really great things to say about Tyler Shuck. So we'll talk about all of that next here to kick off hour number 3 of a Friday edition of AFR presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar.
AFR.
Summer is here. Maybe you're looking to upgrade that ride before the family road trip. Get on by South Point Volkswagen, airline just north of Highland, or online at southpointvw.com. Southpointvw.com. Told you for years, they are Louisiana's largest volume Volkswagen dealer. Maybe you need that full-size family SUV. Make sure you go test drive the Atlas. That's what Erica drives. It's the 3-row, 7-seater family SUV. Tons of space to accommodate our family, all our bags, all the beach stuff as well. Go test drive one today at South Point Volkswagen. Remember, you can shop them online, new and certified pre-owned. So if you're looking for a pre-owned vehicle, great selection. Say it all the time. They're the largest volume Volkswagen dealer. They move more new inventory, so they have more pre-owned trade-in inventory as well. So make sure you shop their pre-owned vehicles over at South Point Volkswagen. Airline just north of Highland or southpointvw.com. South Point Volkswagen. What's your direction?